Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. I have game 5 of the Normandy campaign for you today, Kampfgruppe Scholze. Game 4 disappeared. Actually, Craig and Keith fought it the other week. I wasn't available, and I'm happy to report that the Americans had the first victory for the Allies. A comprehensive, I think it was a 12-5 victory in the end. So well done, Craig. Change of generalship, and the Allies are now officially on the table. But let's have a look at the background for this particular battle. So the last game was the initial crossing of the River Vire by the Americans, and we are continuing a day later with the bridgehead is secure, and Rommel realizes that if the bridgehead cannot be cleared out, that the whole front will collapse. So he orders General Baylorine of the Panzer to counterattack and eliminate the US bridgehead using a couple of Kampfgruppen. And the one that we're going to be looking at is the 901st Regiment, supported by artillery and some Panthers. Now, we've not used Panthers before, so we will see how they go. And here's a map of the general area that the attack took place in. So the area we're going to concentrate on is around this village of Le Desert that the Germans are attacking up this road. The objective was to capture Le Desert and then push forward to Saint-Jean-de-Dive and capture that, and hopefully cut off the Americans from there. So there's the Vire River over there. So that gives a bit of a context as to where this particular game is situated. And for the Americans, we've got a pretty standard infantry battalion of 3 companies. We've got some heavy weapon support, a medium machine gun and some mortar sections, an anti-tank platoon of a bazooka, an anti-tank platoon of a 3-inch anti-tank gun, which is an ambush. That's to try and mitigate against the Panthers. Reinforcements, we get a 57mm anti-tank platoon of 2 guns. Then we get later on the next 2 turns some M10 tank destroyers. So quite a bit of firepower for the Americans. Let's look at the Germans. Right, and Keith's Panzer Grenadiers, again a battalion making up elements of the 901st Grenadier Regiment, 3 companies, medium machine gun section and a Panzerschreck section. He's got enough half tracks for one of his companies, and he's also got a command half track with a 37mm pack 36 and also with a 75mm howitzer. But this is the big scary support. He gets 2 Panthers on table to start, and then later on he gets a Panther and also a Jagd Panzer in support as well. So a lot of armour on the German side of the table today. Once again, Keith has done an outstanding job of creating a table based on the map. Apparently he has used all of his hedges he had available for this one, and the dotted line up here, you can't really see it, but he's made a hill along here, right along this ridge line, and it looks really quite cool when you get down to ground level. Here's a forward defense line basically running along here, and we ended up getting 4 ambushes, and also the anti-tank gun starts an ambush. So we put the anti-tank gun here. Hedges are going to be blocking line of sight for infantry and stuff quite a bit, but we thought we could cover quite a distance with the anti-tank gun in the village area. I put the medium machine ambush here, and then I had a platoon protecting the right flank, and the other Craig put a platoon forward in this wheat field area here, another platoon located in here. We had all 3 companies on table again. Craig had this company, we shared the middle company here, and I controlled the left hand company. As it turns out, though, I lost one of my platoons to the initial interdiction, so that left me a wee bit weak on this side of the table. Okay, deployment dice. So the Americans, we get the 4 ambushes that we've already seen, 4 combat patrols, and 1 which counts as interdiction. And then for Keith, 2 1s as the attacker, meant opening barrage casualties on the defender. He got 2 5s and 6, which is units deployed on table, and he got 5 combat patrols. Right, and here is our initial deployment. So I've already said we've got an ambush in here, we've got the anti-tank gun ambush here, machine gun ambush, my other platoon's ambushing here. Here's my company HQ. I lost a platoon from this company, so I only had 2. That's my company commander there. Company commander for the second company, and Craig's other company commander is somewhere just off the table here. What we did though, we pushed 4 combat patrols as far forward on our forward defensive line as we could. Our thoughts being, let's try and use the battalion mortars if we can to inflict some casualties before the Germans can get close. So 1, 2, 3, 4 combat patrols pushing forward. Can't really see where Keith's are, but that looks like a company commander there, another company commander there. That might be a combat patrol. That's his 3rd company commander. He put all his companies on as well. And Keith really, throughout the game, pushed down on this flank. It was really a choice of left or right. He decided to go, from our point of view, on our left flank and push heavy down there throughout the game. But yeah, nice looking table. Quite dense terrain in some areas, so the line of sights are going to be a bit tricky, but let's get on and see how the first turn unfolds. Turn 1, the Americans get 1 battalion order, puts it up to 3. We get 6 company orders, 2 nothings. Keith got 8 regular orders, no battalion orders, and 1 that didn't count. Keith's had 1 more battalion orders than us, but we rolled, I think I rolled a double 6 to start off with, so we took the first turn. Not that there was a lot that we could do. Turn 1, Americans went first. We just pushed some combat patrols forward. There were no Germans visible, but Keith has brought his Panthers on and is just starting to push down the flank on that hill. Combat patrols here and there, but now we've got some nice juicy artillery targets heading into turn number 2. Okay, so here's just an overview shot. So here's the Panthers advanced. Craig and I pushed our combat patrols forward here just to try and keep Keith at bay, and same up here, I pushed forward another combat patrol. I also deployed one here because only having 2 platoons, I decided I wanted them close to each other so they could offer fire support. So I wasn't planning on doing anything with this combat patrol. And yeah, turn 1, not a great deal of action. We were just, for once, just holding back and seeing how things developed. Not a good start for Craig's turn to roll for our orders dice. 4 1s meant that 1 company, turns out to be company on our left flank, which is where the German attack was developing, was wavered, so can't really do much. 4 regular orders, a battalion order. Keith got 1 battalion order and 7 regular orders. I think we may have got the initiative again, though.
Good.
Apparently the Germans did some great dismount and shooting over here with these half tracks against the platoon that had ambushed and failed to hit the Panther. The Germans are pushing forward on these hills. We returned with our artillery missed most of the infantry, but destroyed 2 transports that actually don't count as anything, but we count it as a moral victory. So the Panthers are advancing. The Americans are playing hide and seek. We're moving more hide than hide and seek, and it is on to turn 3.
Not so much seek. Well, these
just from a bit of a different angle. So there's those burning half tracks. Here's the Panthers pushing forward, and also that's a combat patrol. The German one pushed forward there. These guys have taken 1 shock, and Keith pushing forward in the middle as well. And you get quite a nice view on this one. You can see the way that he's down the hill. Works really well. Looks really, really good. And so we'll head into the next turn. And turn 3, we got 3 6s, which means that we get an airstrike. Some Jabos, some thunderbolts roaring in to cause death and destruction to Panthers. Takes place in the command phase. I rolled 8 dice. I only got 2 hits. 2 shock on the Panther. Had a really good chance of destroying a Panther actually, but the thunderbolts just didn't perform. So our battalion dice are full, 5 regular orders. Keith's got 1 battalion order and, and 8 regular orders. So I think we're both on about 6 battalion orders, and I think again we won the initiative roll off on this one, but a bit disappointing we didn't kill a Panther. And directly in front of the bazooka we've deployed here is the Panther that has 2 shock on it. I think we deployed off a combat patrol and took a shot, but unfortunately missed or didn't do any damage to the Panther. We have now discovered that front armor 11 is very, very hard to penetrate from the front. A lesson that took us a wee while to learn in this particular game.
on that Panther.
Turn 3. First time ever, Jabos came in and suppressed. I managed to, to put 2 shock on it. I managed not to hit it with 6 out of the 8 dice, unfortunately. And we fired some artillery, battalion mortars again at these guys. Suppressed or shocked them a bit more, but no damage. And that was our main move. These guys here took a bit of damage from the infantry and the Panthers that have been moving forward, and this German wandered into our field, and then we tried to ambush the Panther after it had passed us, and also the other Craig tried to it deployed on a combat patrol our bazooka but missed that Panther. So the Germans are pushing forward. We're about to turn on to turn 4, so I think some reserves for us is some anti-tank guns and some German Panzers are about to come on. No, 1 more turn for that. Right, so yeah, as you can see, things are starting to develop on this side. We're mortaring each other, not inflicting any casualties though. This yellow marker here means that this unit has been suppressed. That shows there's a battalion mortar marker directly on them. We've done the same over here to Keith. Those 2 attempted ambushes against the Panthers weren't successful, and that's an annoying combat patrol. I've pushed way up here with a combat patrol. You can see Keith's also bringing a couple of platoons forward down either side of the road. I was sorely tempted to, we had a big discussion about it, deploy a platoon and just try and take out his company commander, because that's the way we usually like to play. The only thing that prevented me doing that was the fact he had lots of reserves to come on and I was going to be isolated. One good reason. But the other one is I only actually have 2 platoons. One of them's deployed an ambush there, and I can't really afford to lose any platoons and leave this flank overexposed. So despite my normal intentions, I resisted the urge to try and charge down and kill a company commander. Another disastrous orders roll from the other Craig. Again, one of our companies went hesitant. It was the central company this time. We get 1/6, 4 regular orders. Keith gets 8 regular orders and no battalion orders. So again, one of our companies decides not to do too much this turn.
3/6.
Okay, we were hesitant again in our central company, which is around this built-up area. We did get initiative though. We tried to mortar the platoon over there. At the end of the turn, they rallied off a couple of shock. Our platoon is still under the German mortar barrage, and we rallied off one shock, then got hit again, so went back to suppressed. We did try and ambush in Keith's turn with our anti-tank gun, and I think he saved. And we also brought on 2 57mm anti-tank guns. One of them hit the Panther, but its front armour is way too high, and we didn't do anything. And that's probably the bulk of it. Keith's moving forward. He's got some combat patrols sneaking forward. We've got a combat patrol way over there looking at that German company commander, and we did ambush with our medium machine gun and put 1 shock onto the infantry over there. So we're turning on to turn 5, which is where we get some tank destroyer support coming on. So could be an interesting turn.
Yeah, and just from an overview, so we've taken a loss here from the various mortar bombardments and tanks and other things. We've been just suppressing this platoon here, but Keith rallied off a couple of the suppression at the end of the turn. Our 57mm anti-tank guns appeared and just either missed or bounced off the front. Craig was having a great game tonight, just rolling 1 under what he needed to hit quite frequently, and here's our other ambush. I haven't got a US 3-inch anti-tank gun. I never had them in Flames of War, so we've pressed a British 17-pounder into service to assist. And I think it may have missed by 1, or if not, Keith was also very good with his Panthers of rolling 7 or above, and then you're adding anywhere from +2 to +6 on the dice roll. So the Panthers were pretty much impervious to most things but our artillery for much of the game. Here's that wavered company, and things are starting to develop in the centre. But you can see how the battlefield's evolving from very, very open to more and more of our units being revealed, and that influences the number of orders we can use, etc. So yeah, it's unfolding quite nicely. Really enjoying this game. And turn 5 orders, we get 1 battalion order and 7 regular orders. Keith gets 8 regular orders and 1 battalion order. And I can't remember who went first.
A lot happened this turn. We started off by bringing on 2 M10s that fired at the Panthers. I don't think they did. I think 1 hit but was saved, and from there we had some bazooka shots and other bits and pieces. I ended up with this platoon and the machine guns and another platoon trying to put pressure on over here, and I think I killed a stand. And then Craig, at the end of the turn, with a reaction order, this platoon here killed a squad. So we have killed 2 squads, and the Germans got 1 squad in our last turn. These guys, we rallied them back a bit, but Keith actually rallied off all the shock on those guys. He also has a couple of shock over here. These guys fired a lot, and those guys are fully suppressed. So the battlefield's filling up, and it's very topsy-turvy as we head into turn 6.
Yeah, so a wee bit difficult. The M10s are just along the hedgerow, just along the very edge of the table here. Just not quite far enough to get flank shots on the Panthers, unfortunately. But the return fire from the Panthers put a couple of shock on. And I think Keith might have even tried to range in the Hummels, but didn't roll high enough to get them to come in this turn. So we are really just trading blows with our tanks, but I've decided that killing tanks isn't going to be very easy, so I'm now looking for squishier targets. These guys are in a good position. I deployed another platoon here and they also fired, so I had platoon, medium machine guns all firing to suppress that platoon there, and my objective now is to try and charge forward and in close assault, but these guys have got 2 shock, so they're not able to go forward, so that's a bit unfair really, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, things are unfolding quite nicely. 3 battalion orders, I think that puts them back on 4. 4 regular orders, we got 2 battalion orders and 7 regular orders. So Keith may go first on this turn.
Turn 6, the Germans finally took the initiative, and the Hummels plastered the M10s. Both of them are now damaged. I think the Panthers fired at them as well, but didn't spot them, and so the worst we took was extra shock. So both of the M10s are damaged. One has just rallied off a shock though. Lots of tit-for-tat combat taking place everywhere. We did manage to kill a third team over here. So we've killed 3. We've only lost 1, but it's just becoming one of those react kind of games at this stage. Another Panther has turned up though, so that's 3, and only one of them has a single shock. So the Panthers are very robust.
Orders for us: 1 battalion order, 7 regular orders. Keith gets 8 regular orders and no battalion orders this turn.
Turn 7, the first Fubar has been had. Again, there's just been trading blows all over the place. Panthers have been firing and brewed up one of the M10s. We brought our M10s on. Actually, Craig ranged in with our regimental artillery and suppressed that Panther. Did 2 losses on another infantry platoon that retreated, and put 1 or 2 shock on that Panther as well. So we've had quite a few of the yellow markers are suppressed units. Craig just rallied off a suppression here. Keith hasn't got so much suppression at present. He has been quite sneaky in retreating the badly damaged platoons back out of harm's way and leaving the Panthers to do the bulk of the heavy lifting. So we're about to head to turn 8, and it is currently, I think, on losses probably 5-2?
5-3.
5-3.
And once again, the American Air Force turns up. I rolled 3 6s, which puts our battalion orders back to full. Once again, 8 dice needing 4s. Only got 2 hits and 2 shock on one of the Panthers. But unfortunate, really. Would have liked to have knocked one out, ideally. Otherwise, we got 4 orders and 2 non-orders. Keith has now had a Fubar, so he is down to 1 battalion order, 5 regular orders this turn.
These Panthers are bloody tough, aren't they?
Bottom of turn 8. We didn't kill a single Panther. We suppressed some, we hit some, lots of good saves. But we did learn that 57mm anti-tank guns are much better off shooting infantry than Panthers, and they wiped out a platoon up there, which gave us 7. And then at the end, Keith was throwing the kitchen sink, the kettle, the pots and pans to kill off the last couple of our M10s. We both used all our battalion orders. It came down to a 7-5 draw with 1 Fubar each. But that 1 loss means that in the overall campaign, we cannot catch the unassailable lead of the Germans as we go into the last game and see if we can claw anything back. Very good game. Thank you, gentlemen.
Unfortunately, it was getting a bit late at night, so we had to wrap it up at the end of turn 8. I think this shot is more towards the end of turn 7 or turn 6. really interesting. Front arm of Panthers was a nightmare, but partly our own fault because we didn't get into flank positions enough. We had two M10s along here, but in the front, and the other two ended up down just a bit further back. Well, actually, I think they deployed in here. And again, we're mainly concentrating on the front. Really, this bazooka, he took a hell of a lot of fire, and Craig couldn't roll a hit to save himself, but he also couldn't fail saves to save himself. His saving rolls were unbelievable all night. So this bazooka was suppressed for a lot of the game, but not destroyed, even though it was only a single unit. Same, I really didn't think that our heavier anti-tank gun was going to survive. There's another Panther ended up here. 3 Panthers rolling round, and it was trading blows and didn't manage to kill. It was our best chance to get through the front armor of a Panther, but it survived quite well. Keith did really well. This platoon here got badly damaged. 2 stands were killed, and he retreated the third one way out of our line of sight. And he did exactly the same thing over here and retreated. He still had about 4 or 5 platoons to deploy, and it could have gone either way still. But I think just the fact that his Panthers were all still operational, and he actually had the Jagged Panzer IV creeping up this way towards the end as well. I think the battle was probably going to tend in the favour of the Panthers in the next couple of turns. But yeah, it was still touch and go. So we'll call it a draw for that one. So we both get one FUBAR point. But as I said, the Germans have, because they thrashed me in the first couple of games, we were going to be unable to catch them going into the last game. But we do want to have a win to minimise how badly that we're going to lose in the wider campaign. But really good game, lots of fun. Yeah, can't say much more about it than that. Just hope you enjoyed watching it. We thoroughly enjoyed playing it and hope to have another game for you soon. So until next time, thank you once again for watching. Take care. Ka kite anō.